be with you at this very special occasion. 20 years, wow. You are in rarefied air. I get a chance to meet and work with a lot of great direct selling companies, but very few have ever made it to the 20-year mark. You are to be congratulated. It's an extraordinary achievement, really. By the way, I hope you're enjoying Success Magazine and ACN Success Audio Series as part of your business success subscription. Good? We work really hard at that, and it is our honor to support your continued great success for at least another 20 years going forward. So we have an exciting opportunity for you this morning. We're going to get a chance to spend a little time with the Donald, and we are, instead of having him just sort of come and talk to you directly, I'm here as your advocate. We're going to sit down and try to pull out the best ideas, insights, and tips that he has in terms of business enterprise building that might help you build your own ACN enterprise. So we're going to do a little Oprah-style chair-to-chair interview here this morning. So I'm here to introduce the man himself, which I don't think he needs much of an introduction. I don't know what country or planet you would be from and to not know who Donald Trump is. So, as you know, a business mogul, tycoon, real estate developer, and of all things entrepreneurial, really. And it's certainly got to be on one of his top of the resumes that he once appeared on the cover of Success Magazine. So with that, we have a short little video to introduce the man himself, Mr. Donald Trump.
Ladies and gentlemen, ACN is proud to introduce best-selling author, executive producer and host of The Apprentice, globally renowned property mogul, founder and CEO of the Trump Organization, multi-billionaire. Please welcome Mr. Donald J. Trump.
So hey, not our first time here, right?
Let's go. Not our first time.
So I'm curious about this. You know, why do you keep coming back? What is it about ACN? It's certainly not for any money. It's for the love of the organization. Tell us why you love ACN.
In fact, I left Palm Beach this morning and I said, why am I doing it? And the reason I'm doing it is I really have just a special relationship with your founders. They're good people. They're hard workers. They love what they're doing. They love the people in the room. And I can tell you, unless they're pulling the stuff off my eyes, and I don't think so, they're really good people with great ideas, and they want to help other people, and I just like it.
Yeah, you know, I think an organization goes the way of its leadership, and I think one of the true gifts and blessings that this organization has is great leadership with the four founders as well as the whole management team. But you've had a chance to spend some time with the co-founders in both the business setting as well as on the golf course. Tell us a little bit more about your observations about their character to share with everybody else here.
Well, you know, one of the things interesting is they like each other. And I've seen so many businesses. I was talking to it before with Robert and Greg in the back. I've seen people, where they have businesses, they don't get along, it never seems to work out. These guys really like each other. And I know some of you heard this before because we've been doing this, and I love doing it, and I love doing it with this crowd. But there are some people that haven't. I was playing golf with Greg and Robert, and I had one of them, I won't say which one, on my side. And we were winning. And the other one didn't like beating his partner. Can you believe? I've never heard of this before. They like each other. And that's really good. And, you know, the other thing, marketing and network marketing is all very important. But I'm also a believer in product. You have a great product.
Yeah.
So you have great people, you have a great product, and you have an amazing concept whose time has really, really come. And you know what's interesting, and I say it a lot, when people are in business for a period of time, it's no longer luck. 20 years, as of just about today, I guess, right?
This is it. This is to kick off their 20-year anniversary.
Amazing.
Yeah. Which
So
is
that's
what,
an amazing, that's a long period of time. For you to have success, and it's been great success. I see the magazine, Success Magazine, and you guys are on the cover a lot. And for you to have this kind of tremendous success over a prolonged period of time like that, I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, I want to speak to this because it is an extraordinary achievement, particularly in this industry, a 20-year legacy in this industry.
Right.
And particularly in this economic climate, you see lots of companies, you have lots of companies, you advise and mentor people that are running lots of companies.
I do.
Talk about this 20-year milestone as an achievement. What does it say about this organization?
Well, it's just something that you don't see that often. I have many friends, they go into business, the business sometimes goes well, sometimes doesn't go well. But when you reach certain milestones, I mean, when you get that first 5 years or the first 10 years, but when you're in business for 20 years, and every year just seems to be better and better and better. And don't kid yourself, 5 years ago, I don't know anything about the numbers, but it couldn't have been so pretty because there was some bad things happening in the world. And, you know, still we do have to rely on the world, and you're going global, and I love what you're doing in energy. And when Greg and Robert told me about that a couple of years ago, that their next move is energy, I said, you know, it's just smart. There is just no better business. That business, when you hit, there's no business like energy. So, you know, you look at some of the wealth and the accumulation of wealth over the years, it's so often energy related. So I love that they did that and they branched out. And I love you folks can benefit by that because it's a great business.
Yeah. So speaking of your love for the organization, I think you've got something exciting to announce that you want to keep this love going, and so there's an extended talk to us about that.
Yeah, we just have. In fact, I have a club right down the road. I bought a club, and it's just great. In fact, my executives are here with me. Someplace are in this massive room with, I guess, 25,000 people. That's a lot of people. I mean, you know, we could have been doing something else. Where are my executives? So I bought the Point. Where are they? They're geniuses. They're geniuses. So what happened is I bought the Point, and they're great guys, and really have done a good job. And you probably, the people from North Carolina, this beautiful, beautiful place was in bankruptcy. And I love dealing in bankruptcy because you can buy things out, and I always say it's a terrible expression, but it's clean as a baby's ass. When you buy it, I don't know if that's very clean, but you know. When you buy it, it's just, there's no lawsuits anymore, everything's cut. And I bought the Point out of bankruptcy. And what it had was great location, great people, great staff. Most of the people are people that I took over. And it had Lake Norman, which is the largest private lake in the world. A beautiful, incredible lake. And a fantastic golf course. And it's really a community. And I bought it. And we have turned that place into the hottest place in North Carolina. I mean, it's really doing fantastically well. I know some people here that live there. And the houses have gone way up in value since I bought it. And everybody's happy except for neighboring communities. We have one of the folks that actually works for ACN, and she said, my house, everybody wants to live at the Point. I love hearing that, even though, you know, maybe she doesn't like it. It's okay. So we've really done a great job, and that group of people over there is fantastic.
So let's talk about the extended relationship that you have with ACN. I think you got something you want to...
Well, I do. We have agreed to extend the relationship for a substantial period of time, years, actually many years. And I did that again because of my relationship with the founders. And we started this relationship, how many years ago is this now? It's a long time.
Been a long time.
And I think it's probably 6 years. You know, it's funny, I started The Apprentice 10 years ago, and that's still going strong. The #1 show on Sunday evening, and it's been amazing. And by the way, just so you know, on March 3rd, Sunday night, 9 o'clock, The Apprentice goes on, and this is an all-star celebrity apprentice. It's great. It's vicious, it's violent. We brought Tom Rosa back. We have Dennis Rodman. We have Trace Atkins, who everybody loves, and Latoya Jackson, and it's an amazing group. But it's a little bit like, when you think about it, it happened. It was something that was not supposed to be successful. It went on television. It became very quickly the #1 show. It was a tremendous success. I was getting calls, for those of you that have heard this, I was getting calls from the head of NBC saying, Donald, we just wanted to wish you a happy birthday. I said, what's he doing? I didn't know this man. He's wishing me a happy birthday. My wife looks at me, she goes, I guess that means you're doing well.
It's called ratings.
But it's called ratings. It's a very simple, that business is very simple. It's called ratings. But when I did it, people said, that will never succeed, because there's never been a business show in the history of television that succeeded in prime time. And my agent told me, it won't succeed. I ended up firing my agent. I had to do that because he told me don't do the show, right? And you know that story, because then he came and asked for a commission. So he said, don't do it, I won't let you do it. I said, but I shook the hand of Mark Burnett, who, as you know, did Survivor, a great guy, and also NBC. He said, I don't care, don't do it. When I went to #1, he wanted a big commission.
Yeah.
So I said, Jim, you're fired. Just a little analogy. So The Apprentice, I said, wouldn't work, and it became a tremendous success. Went to #1, continues to do well. ACN was the same kind of a thing. I mean, at the beginning, 20 years ago, nothing was easy, and you're starting a business, and you look at what happened, and you look at how many people have become successful and happy with ACN. Because there's a lot of love in this room. I see it. I have a great Twitter account with millions of people. Can you believe this? It's better than owning a New York. The New York Times doesn't do what I do. So, and I don't have to lose money. They all lose money. But I have this great Twitter account, @RealDonaldTrump. Would everybody mark that down and join immediately, please? @RealDonaldTrump. Now, I know a lot of you are already on, because I have more messages. My machine is going to explode on me. I have more messages where I'm going to be here. I'll see you in Charlotte. Who wrote to me through Twitter and said, I'll see you in Charlotte? I'm telling you. My machine is exploding. But it's great. And so, we're going to have something. But just like that took off and The Apprentice took off, this company has taken off. And it's really been an honor for me to be associated with these people.
Yeah.
Really.
Now I want to amplify this point, because you get a chance to have lots of choices, the opportunity to be involved with lots of companies, to endorse and have a relationship with endless opportunities. So with all these choices, you have decided that you will now choose to be exclusive with ACN, where you will not be involved with employees any other company in all of the direct selling industry. I think that's pretty extraordinary. So.
It's an honor, believe me. I hope you're happy, but it's an honor for me, because it's a great. I actually enjoy
Exclusive. Did I say exclusive? Congratulations. That's pretty big.
Well, it's a great honor for me, and so many people. Tom Brady's a great friend of mine, and one of the people he respects is Lawyer Malloy. Where's Lawyer Malloy? Where the hell is he? Lawyer! And he loves Lawyer Malloy, and every time I come here, he says, say hello. So anyway, but you have some just amazing people here. And I don't know where Jeremy is, Jeremy Roenick, who's the great hockey player, but he's here someplace too. And, a lot of champions. And they're members and they're part of ACN. And that means something to
Attract great people. Yeah. So one of the things I know you're going to be doing is these inspirational notes, where daily you're going to share some of your best.
Well, weekly.
Weekly? Okay. Yeah. Maybe we can get you
let's not get carried away.
Daily.
But no, weekly I will be doing it, and I'll give you some words of advice or whatever. You'll have to take them and you have to siphon them, because maybe they're good, maybe they're not, but I'll do my best. And it's sort of funny, because you have people in the world, and some people love you and some people don't, but you attain a certain success and you build confidence. And the word confidence is very important. And You know, when you build like a company like I built, and especially because in the early 90s, I mean, I had a lot of difficulty. I had many friends went bankrupt. They went out of business, never to be heard from again. A lot of them never to be heard from again. They've gone away. And I never did, but I fought like hell, but I never did, and I never pulled that card. And today my business is worth over $8 billion. It's been a tremendous business. And that's not like it does 8 billion in sales. I mean, it's worth over $8 billion. And it's just been a great thing for me, and I've had a lot of fun doing it. There's nothing like building a business. Now, let me change that. Family, most important, okay? Family. You gotta have family. And you gotta love your country, and you have to be proud of your country. And your country has to do a good job for you. You know, the country has to do a good job for you. And part of the beauty of what ACN is doing by going all over the world is you're taking advantage of certain things that are happening in other parts of the world, which frankly are growing faster than the United States, and they're growing amazingly. And I heard about this a few years ago, and I said, very smart, because there are some places that are really, really growing. But this is where I like, and I'm all over the world, but I would much rather be able to go to Florida or stay in New York or come to North Carolina, you know, than have to travel for 22 hours to China. In all fairness, it's wonderful. But this is really the place that I like being. And it's very important. Good government's very important. But everything is, but there's other than family and being in the right place. So the best thing and the most fun you can have is building a great company, and especially when you can work with a great company like ACN.
Yeah.
So it's really something special.
So one of the things that I hope that you dispense through these inspirational notes are things on mindset. You talked about confidence. What do you think are some of the most important mindsets that people need to have as an entrepreneur in building a business?
Well, I've always said confidence is a little bit about winning, and maybe a lot about winning. You know, I've seen people that were not confident in life, and then they have some good hits, and all of a sudden they become confident people. You know, confidence, to a certain extent, is about winning. And I've seen that so many, you know, you have to think of yourself as victorious. You have to go out there and win. And when you win, and when you win enough, you know, when you win a Super Bowl title, as an example, when you win, that's a particular group, that's good, but it's true. But when you win titles, when you, whatever your business may be, whether it's sports or business or anything else, winning breeds confidence. So, you know, more important than anything else, you work hard, always have, you know, people think it's all about work, and it is about work, but it's also about the right thing. Like, I'll give you an example. So friends of mine come to me. Retailing is a tough business. Now, if you go into retail, maybe you like it, but it's a tough business. But when I talk to friends and they say, could you lecture my son? He graduated from college. A lot of times I say, go into energy, go into oil. Because I have friends that went into the airline business.
Yeah.
I went to the Wharton School of Finance, the greatest business school in the world. It really is. And great school. And I have friends that graduated from college who were great people, great students, great aptitudes, tremendously smart people. And one of them went into the airline business. He was very smart. One of them who was not as smart, I won't tell you his name, but he's a very famous guy, went into the oil business. Well, the guy that's in the oil business made a fortune. The guy that's in the airline business, I mean, it's just brutal.
Yeah.
And he's one of the top people, but it is brutal. It's just a tough business. So a lot of it is going in and finding the right concept, finding the right business, then knowing what you're doing, learning it. One of the things about loving what you do is that it's easy to learn because, Darren, you know, you'll like it more. You'll just like it more, and therefore it's not work. And if you can make it so that you can work 24 hours a day, but it's not work, you're going to be successful. But again, pick the right business. That's one of the reasons I like coming to ACN. I really think that these guys are leading in the right way. And that was, again, told, because I've been preaching energy for 15 years. And I didn't tell them, you know, you want to, I didn't even know they could do that. I didn't say go into the energy business to Greg and Robert and the founders. All of a sudden, they're going into the energy business. I think that's just great.
Yeah. So you don't get a chance to ask this question often. What is it to think like a billionaire? In other words, when you observe other people and how they think, how they observe situations or opportunities or projects, What is it do you think is different
Well-
from the mentality of a billionaire versus somebody else?
You know, the one thing you like to do is learn from history. But I like to learn from other people's successes, but also other people's failures. You know, you could say that if I fail at something, if I make a mistake, I've learned from it. But it's a lot cheaper and a lot easier if you can learn from somebody else's mistake. What do you have to do it for? Let them fail. And especially your enemies. I love to have my enemies fail. Now we're getting into a horrible situation. He's going to say, that's not nice, we're a nice company. But I love to watch my enemies fail. I don't know what it is. And then I love to learn from, I don't like watching my friends fail, but that happens too. But you have to learn from the failure of people. And you can also learn from the success of people.
Yeah. So speaking of enemies, and everybody faces enemies, naysayers, you know, and you've had your fair share of naysayers. If you're out building your ACN business, you're going to come across the naysayers. Those people are going to tell you that you're not good, it's not going to work. What advice would you offer those that are building their ACN business about how to handle the naysayers? How do you handle it when you get it, when you hear it? What goes on inside and how do you deal with it?
Yeah, it's an interesting question because you have it all the time. So we're in a different age now. We're in the age of Twitter and Facebook. And, you know, and we're also like luck. So I go out and I order, when Facebook came out, I say, I want $10 million worth of Facebook, right? You know, because I figured it's hot. And so I'm a genius, right? So, you know, it was at 42. It actually was they said, you can get it at 42. Then I get a call from the brokerage firm. We can't give you any order because a big firm, very well-known firm, because something about you're so big and you're so big in the firm that if we give you an order, it may be inside trading. I said, what the hell do I know about? I just said, order me some Facebook. They said, we can't give you the order. We can only give it to like our bad customers because they don't have any information. I said, what do I have? I don't know anything about Facebook. Okay. So I had an order at 42. 42. It went down to 15, by the way. I'm a genius, right? So they told me no. So I said, all right. And I said, by the way, I don't want to do business with you people anymore. If I'm so big in this firm, I'm not doing business with you people. Now, of course, when the stock crashed, I called them up and said, thank you very much. So now the stock goes down to 15. And I don't know much about Facebook. I don't care about it. But the stock goes down to 15. And I look and I say, hey, buy some. And I bought a lot of it, like at around 15 and 16 and 17. I bought a lot of it. And that was the end of it. And the thing's gone up. So now they say I'm a genius. But I don't tell the story about wanting to buy it at 42. I'm only telling this. So in a way, you know, luck always plays a little bit of life, right? Maybe, you know, it's sort of interesting that the same people seem to be lucky all the time. But you always have the naysayers. And I see it on Twitter, because we're the age of Twitter. So I see it on Twitter, where I'll have people saying, they write in @real Donald Trump. Dear Mr. Trump, you're a great inspiration to me. Dear Mr. Trump, I loved your quote. Because I give a lot of quotes on my thing about, you know, be victorious, and a lot of good quotes. And not only from me, from General Douglas MacArthur, from Winston Churchill, some great quotes. I mean, I really spend a lot of time. I love quotes that are good by great people that have done well, right? So I'll have like 20 beautiful, thank you, Mr. Trump. Thank you for being in North Carolina. And then I'll have one, you are the worst piece, and they do it just comes out. And I call them the haters and the losers. No, they're real haters. I mean, the level of hatred is unbelievable. I said, what did I do? And you know, it's sort of nice because you wake up in the morning and you're reading these nice things. Oh, isn't that nice? And then boom, it's called like the whammies, like whoa. And the language that they use is just incredible. So you'll always have that. You'll always have people that are jealous and angry and sick. I think sick. I mean, I get some, these are sick people. Degenerates. And I go on Facebook, I say, you know, you guys are degenerates, you're losers. That only makes them even more angry. It's pretty interesting what goes on. But just to answer Darren's question, you've got to let it roll off your back.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw one girl last week where she committed suicide because people were talking badly about her. Beautiful girl, you've probably read about it in New York, New Jersey, where she actually committed suicide. because she jumped off a bridge. Because people said terrible things about her, and some of her friends said bad things about her. So, it's a different age.
Yeah.
You've got to be able to say, it doesn't matter. A lot of people, I putt well in golf, I'm a good putter. And a lot of people, I have some friends of mine and some security guys, I win a lot of club championships, it's crazy. I'm a very good putter for some reason. Somebody asked me the other day, why are you a good putter? I said, because I don't care. Some people care too much. You stand over a putt, I gotta sink it. Then they go, and you know what they're thinking? What happens when I miss it? They're over a putt this long. What am I going to say? Because everyone's watching me. 3 people are watching, right? What am I going to say when I miss it? When, not if. When. I had a match the other day, a club championship match the other day with a guy. His family's watching him. They're going, there's sort of a little bit of a crowd because it's a club championship. And he's got a putt that's about 3 feet. And he said, Don, can I have it? I said, have it. Why? Please, can I have it? I said, beg. And I said, I'm not giving it to you, putt it. He didn't even come close. I mean, he missed a 3-foot putt by this point. It was the craziest thing. But, and a lot of it is, I don't care. You stand up, and it's true about life, too. You can't want something so bad that it becomes so all-encompassing. It's good to have ambitions, but you got to be cool. You have to be cool. And sometimes, if it's not as important, you can do better. It sort of takes the pressure off, and that all makes sense.
It's a good analogy. Actually, it's a great analogy.
Yeah. No, I see it all the time. I see it all the time where people, they want to do something so badly. You may want to do it just as bad, but don't let it get to you. Be cool.
Yeah. And the good thing is there's only about a half dozen really nasty, mean, and angry people out there. They just mix around a lot. That's all.
Well, no, you have some, and they use different names. I actually had blocked because they were so vicious. When my kids read this, they said, "Oh, Daddy, that's terrible." And so we have him blocked, and then he reemerges with a different name. So,
I admire their persistence.
You have some real sickos out there.
So let's talk about, you talked about you had some trouble in the early 90s. We all find those valleys in life, and you said you fought like hell to come back. What were some of the other things that you did, you think, to have such a comeback? I mean, it's incredible.
A very smart friend of mine, who's a great business genius and successful person, and he knows, like for instance, he said, I hear there's 25,000 people showing up in North Carolina. He's from Manhattan. I said, how do you know that? He said, I know it. Because, you just know something. He goes, it's interesting. And if he showed up and he's very successful, there'd be 3 people. Greg and Robert would not be happy with the turnout, okay? And yet he's unbelievable in terms of the businessman. Great. But he said, one of the things I think, and we were talking about this before with Ann, one of the reasons that people sort of relate a little bit to you is that you went through a really rough period of time and came back. In the Guinness Book of Records, I set the record for the greatest personal comeback.
Yeah.
And I'm not proud of that record, to be honest with you.
That's great.
Well, in a way, I'm not proud of it because, I feel that I just went to the office, I worked, the markets went down, lots of things happened. I still blame myself, I wasn't as focused. But I did come back to a point where, it's much, much bigger than it ever was before, much more successful. But, you just can't, because I see it all the time, where people give up. They quit. And very smart people, and they quit. And over the years, I've known so many, because, I went to the best schools, all that stuff, and I've seen the smartest people not make it, and I've seen people that were not as smart that made it because they didn't give up, they didn't quit. There are a lot of quitters out there. You have so many people. I mean, I could go into some of my classes in school, and a lot of those people have become the biggest people, running the big corporations of America today. And I see that some of those people that are the biggest people today were not the best people in school. They weren't as smart as other people, but they had more of a stick-to-itiveness. They were more driven. And I could see they were more driven even in school. And those are the people that tended to become the most successful people.
Yeah, it's just this page. So I'm curious, are you...
By the way, he's great. Let's get it down. Barbara Walters picked me last year. She does the 10 most fascinating people of the year, right? And I was one of them. I said, oh, how great am I, right? Is that? So anyway, so it's 10 most fascinating. I think his interview is much better, to be honest.
You got to interview
I don't
fascinating
think, and I'll tell you, I don't think he gets paid as much either.
So, do you ever have moments of doubt? Because everybody here suffers a moment of doubt, even no matter how great or successful they've been in the past, where you're looking at a project or a deal, you've got to do something, and there's that moment of doubt. Do you, and when you do, what do you do to sort of pull your
Well, it's
family
such a
back
great question, but it's a question, I hate answering it in a way, because I don't like to admit it, but it's such a great question, and it's a question that should be answered. Everybody has moments of doubt. Everybody has bad times. Even if things are going well, there are some negative things under the surface that aren't going well. I don't care how well you're doing. I don't care. I can tell you, look, they're enemies and friends of mine, the biggest people in the world, the biggest business people, the most successful people. I know them all. And I can tell you, every one of them have made horrible deals, and they're really smart people. But you always have doubt, and you have moods, and sometimes it's even chemical. Who the hell knows? You wake up some days, hey, look, let's face it, we're together. You wake up some days, you feel like you're going to conquer the world. You wake up other days, you say, oh, let's just get through the day. But sometimes getting through the day is okay. You just sort of get through the day. You don't have to, knock everything down. So a lot of times when you're not feeling so great, and I'm not talking physically, I'm saying your mental state isn't like as you like it, just get through, just trudge along. Sit back and relax a little bit, which is okay, which is really okay. I really believe that, and I think a lot of people in the room probably believe that too. Because you're not going to have all days. I mean, if you had every day where you were on 100% that things are going great, they're going to institutionalize you actually. But, really, it's sort of, they have an expression, tread water. Tread water a little bit. That's okay.
Yeah. So we had some questions submitted by the Circle of Champions, and one of the questions was, what does your daily routine look like? What are some of the musts in your day as a routine?
Well, I find it very important. I get up very early. I don't sleep too long because I enjoy life. I have friends that used to not sleep long, and when they became failures, which they did, they became failures. That happens too. Now they sleep 12, 14-hour days. I mean, they sleep all the time. I say, I don't know, is that good or bad? So, it's like one of those things. And usually I can tell if a person's doing well by how many hours sleep, because it's true. When you're doing well and you're not sleeping as much because you're excited to get through with the next day. But there are things that I do that I think are very important. As an example, when I get up probably about 5 o'clock in the morning. I have newspapers delivered. And television is a great source, of news to me. But a combination of television, and I read the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, and the New York Post, and whatever else I happen to be reading. Because I think it's very important for the people, which you're really great business people, to see what's going on in the world. And you can get sort of a pretty good feel of what, you can't just go with one paper as an example, because the Times has a very liberal bent. The Wall Street Journal has a pretty conservative bent. It's good to get it all and filter it and figure out where are you. But it's very important to see where the world is going. You feel good about the world. You feel we're going to have a great economy. You read lots of different pundits, many of whom have different theories, and then you put it all together in your own computer, and you say, hey, I feel good, I want to make an investment. And I find that, it's very interesting. I've hired some of the top hedge funds and I call them the great geniuses of Wall Street to manage money for me over the last few years, right? Because I was never much of a stock market person. I've never liked it. I don't like when a guy's running a company and he made, $197 million last year because he runs a company. Give me a break, right? So I was never a huge fan of it. But I've hired some of the top people on Wall Street, and then I also do it myself. Like I'll watch CNBC or I'll watch, let's say Bloomberg, which is really doing well. I'll watch a couple of the stations, and I'll see some CEO. I mean, if I saw Greg and Robert in the group on there, I think that'd be very interesting. Maybe they should do that. But I'll watch some guy from Johnson & Johnson, or from Honeywell, or from some of these big companies. And if I like them, I'll buy stock. And my stocks are up so high. And my guy came in the other day and said, you're paying all this money for these geniuses to run your money, but my stocks are so much higher and I get nothing. right? I don't take a fee for myself. But think of it. I pay them money. One guy's down. He's way down. I said, what am I paying him? If they charge a fee and he's down. But if I like a guy on television, if I think he's got a good vision for the company, I'll buy some stock in this company and I'll do well. So a lot of it is just trusting your own instincts. But I think it's very important, especially in what you're doing, because you don't want to know where we're going. Read the news, study the news, follow the news, and enjoy your life. But I think it's important to see where we're going. And you do that through newspapers, I think, television, and what's on your computer.
It's interesting, you can pretty much predict the future success of an organization based on the character of the leader, which is what we started this interview with. How indicative of the success is the captain.
I told you the little story about Facebook. Now, I didn't do that based on the leader. I did that based on if I liked it at 42, do I like it at 15 or 16?
Right.
But that was more luck than talent. But I mean, I've made some good choices because I like certain people that I watched on television.
Yeah. So there's another question that was submitted here that I think is great. If you could rewind the clock and start over today, what's the one thing you know now that would make all the difference to getting to the top again?
Well, the biggest thing is picking the right field. Picking what you're doing is something very important because, as I told you, if you get out of college, you're the smart guy, you choose the wrong business, it's tough. If you choose the wrong place, it's tough. So I think the most important thing, you got to do what you love. And I think doing what you love overrides everything, even if it's not the greatest business. If you love it and you don't love something else, just do it anyway. But generally speaking, I would say picking the right business. I happen to think you're in the right business. I really feel it. Or I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here if I didn't. But picking the right business is sort of fundamentally important to me because I've just seen so many people that are smart go into things that just are very tough.
What about from a philosophical standpoint or a mentality standpoint or even just a behavioral standpoint? There are things that you've done the last 10 years that you didn't do the first 10 years. What do you think are some of those evolutions that you've had?
Well, that's a great question, too. I think I'm much more conservative than I used to be, really. I don't go for every deal. I was a deal junkie. I had to make every deal. I had to make, it didn't matter, good ones, bad ones. I love deals, right? And I was really, now I sort of sit back and say, who cares? And I always figure, the market goes up, it goes down. I told one guy, I lost a deal 2 weeks ago to somebody who paid a ridiculous price. I said, it wasn't nice to say. I said, don't worry, I'll get it on the way down. And so, when you have that longer term, I feel like I'm young, but I'm not young. But I've seen a lot. And you do have a longer term perspective. And I am definitely more conservative. I was a wild man. I had billions and billions of borrowings from banks. Now I have very little. We have a huge cash position. It's good in a way, but it was hard to get used to it because I did great in the good times when I borrowed from banks. I borrowed billions. I was the king. Nobody did the banks what I did, folks. I was the all-time king. But and it worked out. I wouldn't want to do it again. I wouldn't want to do it again. I don't think they'd want me to do it to them again. But it worked out, and the truth is, as you get older and as you see, because in good times lots of good things happen, but in bad times, you always have to prepare for the bad times, because they'll be here. They'll be here. I mean, as sure as you're sitting there, they'll be here. And there'll be great times, and there'll be better times than what we're in right now. And maybe that'll happen soon. But you always have to guard against the downside, Darren. I see so many people. I see it with athletes. I mean, you have some great athletes in the world. Some of them are friends of mine, but I see it with athletes. I have so many athletes love me. For some reason, they like me. One of them was terrible. I shouldn't say this, but I said, why do the athletes love me? Should I tell you what the answer is?
Oh,
no, shit.
I can already tell. You've already let the toothpaste out of the tube.
Hey, now, this guy just shouted out because you have the best-looking women. Is that disgusting? Who would ever think a thing like that? But the athletes and I have a good relationship. And it's interesting with athletes. They make a lot of money for a short period of time. But they don't. I have one that was really in his prime. And he was saying, you know, Mr. Trump, I need your help because I'm broke. I said, how can you be broke? I just heard you signed a $30 million contract. He said, yeah, but my manager. I said, where's your manager? Well, he went to high school with me. This is the manager. So he was stealing. I got a forensic account. He was stealing. This, that, everyone was stealing. His wife was terrible. He's sort of funny. He said, my wife is causing me a lot of problems. She's spending money like a drunken. So I don't know. I said, he said, let me give you an example. This is a huge athlete that everybody in the room knows. Great athlete. He said, I come home one day and there's a brand new Mercedes-Benz in the driveway. Now, it had stickers on it, you know, X dollars, all that. Wasn't the price. I walk into my wife, I say, whose car is that? It's mine, I bought it today. I said, I'm your husband. Shouldn't you tell me you're buying a car? And I said, yeah, that's a problem. I said, this is a marriage that's not going to last, by the way. About 2 months later, that marriage ended. But the athletes think that their stream of income is going to be going on forever. They see 10 million come in, 5 million come in, 20 million come in, but they think it's going to go on forever. And then one day, it's not there. And I help a lot of them. I like doing it because I have a lot of friends in sports, and sports is the greatest analogy. You know, we gave a couple of sports things already with the golfing and the putting and the this and the that. The greatest of all are the prize fighters. I mean, they have the greatest lines of all. But so many different great sports analogies. But the income stream isn't there. So you have to prepare. You have to know what's going to happen in the future. But these are young kids at 21 years old. They just got out. Most of them are poor as hell when they went to college. They become stars, and now they're, you know, in the NFL and the NBA. They're in whatever. And they're making this money, and they think, wow, this is great. And, I mean, I can tell you the story about one guy went out and bought a house that's like Mar-a-Lago because he had a 3-year contract. He lost the house very quickly. Because when it ended, the whole life sort of ended. It was rough. So you really have to know, Darren, what are you doing? And you have to remain focused. You have to remain stable, in a way. You have to remain stable. And it's not that easy to do.
And protect the downside, no matter what.
You have to protect against the downside. That's the one thing. When you ask, what have I learned more than anything else? I think I have become more conservative in terms of financial. But I also think that I've learned to protect the downside much more. You know, when I was hot as hell when I was 22 years old. I was doing deals. They did a story about me. Everything he touches turns to gold. I said, that's right. Everything I touch, I'm the greatest. Then you get flipped a couple of times. You don't feel so good, right? But the truth is, you have to know how to protect that downside.
Yeah.
Because the downside will happen.
So last question for you, since you are going to be investing yourself, your time, your brand, your energy into supporting ACN going forward, why do you think the home-based business model is an important part of the future of our U.S. economy? As entrepreneurs in business for themselves, why do you think it's an important part of our future as a U.S. economy?
Well, I think this is about the United States, and we can't get too far away from it. You know, it's possible that we're being led a little bit too far away. It'll come back, but home-based business and businesses and private business generally, it's what this country is all about. It's made the country great. It's created great wealth for the country, but it's created great wealth for people. And I think also, when you think about wealth, what are we talking about? You're talking about hospitalization. You're talking about healthcare. You're talking about all the things, education for your children. You're thinking about food. You're thinking about rent or home ownership. You're thinking about really creating a great life. And if you do well, you can create just an unbelievably life, you know, just a fantastic life for yourself. But it's a great thing for the country. And I think there's a tremendous group of people out there that realize this, and we can't get too far away from that model, because that's what it is. It's a model that worked better than any model ever in the history of the world. Now what's happening is other countries are using our model from 30 and 40 and 50 years ago, and 100 years ago, and they're doing well. And now they're changing theirs a little bit also. But it's a great model, it works. But more important than anything else, when successful, you just feel so proud about yourself. Your family will be so proud of you, and you're able to take care of your family and do it with pride. So it's just been an honor to be with you. I love being with you. I'll be here again. Maybe not in this location, but we'll be in lots of different locations. But it's a special group of people, and I just want to reiterate one time further the people, and I know so many of your management people, they are terrific people that really know what they're doing. And I think you're going to be very happy in the long run. So good luck to everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, your ambassador, Mr. Donald Trump. Woo!